introduce myself. I'm Chris Jones. I'm the coordinator of technology here, educational technology in the Palmdale School District. And I'd like to say a big thanks to all of our folks who helped us out today. So big thanks, coaches and my team back there, if you guys could wave a hand. Thank you. Awesome. And a big thanks to our kitchen staff who did we have our afternoon custodian. We had Art here this morning, so thanks, for all of your support today too. So this afternoon, we're going to welcome Ben here, and so for those of you who are excited about your bookmarks, that's all Ben. So he's going to give you some direction bookmarks here in just a few minutes. So I'm going to introduce Ben here as our second keynote speaker today. And Ben's an elementary educator in Salinas, so he didn't have to come as far as Eric, but he came a long way still. So we thank you for being here. He's a teacher, a coach, and a TOSA. That's a teacher on special assignment, for those of you who don't know that fancy name. He's the Monterey Bay Q Board President. Q Board President. So, yeah. All right, and so thanks for representing the Q, for those of us who are QBs. Q folks. And Q Bold, Q Rockstar faculty members. So if you're going to go get, every once in a while, if you're ever looking for some good PDO this summer, that Q Bold and that Q Rockstar, take a look. Some good stuff. And Captain of the Kinder Rockets, and I'm sure he's going to tell us a little bit about Kinder Rockets. I hope so, because I'm pretty excited about it. He's got a shirt. It says Kinder Rockets. Pretty excited about it. So without further ado, let's have Ben.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope we are doing well. I prefer this. This is not going to be a keynote. This is going to be a after party. Okay, so I put Aloha on there because, as you know, Aloha has many meanings, and so I believe we're all coming together around a love of educational technology and a love. Just a little bit about me. Yes, I am actually no longer a TOSA. I am a recovering TOSA, teacher on special assignment. The last 2 years I have been in a kindergarten classroom. I did 6th grade for a while. I was a TOSA for a while, and now I am a kindergarten teacher of the Kinder Rockets. If you ever want to follow us and see what we're doing on Twitter, you can follow us at the Kind Rockets. So you can see, I love my students. These are some recent pictures of Disney Day, and of course, we're having a phonics dance party up there. But I also am a family man, and so just love my students, and I love my own family. You can see I have my own daughter here, who's now one of our filmographers. So you can say, hi, Sonny. It's always good to make sure I tell them give them a healthy dose of embarrassment, right? So that's who I am, and I'm looking forward to going back up to Salinas, which, by the way, is the salad bowl capital of the world, if you didn't know that. Okay? So, you guys have a good day? Yeah. Your mind's a little blown, right? Maybe you have just enough information. A lot of times it's hard because there's so many cool things that we learn from, right? So a lot of times we have a lot of information in there. And so, hopefully you're ready to go back to your classrooms. So before I kind of get started, we're going to have the ultimate challenge. Are you ready for the ultimate challenge? Okay, it's the ultimate challenge. It's like the ultimate battle, like Mario versus Bowser, for those of you that are video game nerds like I am. If you're not, it's okay too. I'm sure you know who Super Mario is. So, are you ready for this? You got to choose a side. Pick your side. And so, here's our first ultimate challenge. Are you more of a paper calendar, or do you prefer like a calendar app like Google Calendar or the iOS calendar? So, if you have a paper calendar, people, and go ahead and raise your hand. Woo-woo. All right. Digital calendar people, where are you at? All right. Looks like about split 50-50. All right, second ultimate challenge. Here we go. Are you ready? Do you prefer reading a book? Or do you prefer listening to your books? Those of you that prefer old school reading a book. Okay, where about those of you that like listening to your books? All right, definitely the paper book wins that challenge. All right, next ultimate challenge, number 3. Are you more of a sticky note person, or do you prefer something like Google Keep and putting on our to-do list app? So sticky note people, where you at? Right? Google Keep people or digital people, where you at? All right. What about math on paper? Math practice digitally. Which one? Paper? Digitally. So we're here at a technology conference, right? But you know what? It's really not about this. It's really not about this. It's really not about the ultimate challenge. It's really not. I don't think we're here for technology. Even though it's called an EdTech Summit, I don't think that's why we're here. Right? And it's really not about the paper and pencil either, or the analog, whatever you want to call it, that either. It's about this. Right? These are my Kinder Rockets this year, by the way. And you can see we're working on being good at listeners on the carpet. Okay? So we're really here for our students, and we're here to make sure that we can be the best teachers that we can be. Right? And it's not just for our students, it's about this. Well, what is that? What do all those things have in common? What is a candy bar, and I'm not sure, a lemon tree, a teepee, and a crazy hat? What do all those have in common? They're all experiences that I remember from the teachers that I've had in the past. Because as teachers, we create experiences for our students, right? And with technology, it's not just also about the experiences we can create. Technology allows us this. You know what this is? Possibilities. Yeah, with technology, we have so many different possibilities, right? Lots of possibilities. So on in here, right? And this is a great example of a blend of the digital and analog, right? You get the analog, the cat costume, really puts it over. The baby there, he's being entertained. Then you have the Roomba, which is not only entertaining, but it is also cleaning, and it is technology, of course, too. So with our students, we're here because we give them these experiences, we want to give them possibilities, and we want to open a window for our students, right? Has anybody kind of seen this metaphor before? Opening a window for our students, or you're letting the light in, or when a window opens, a door shuts, there's a window you can go through. Lots of different ways to put it, right? We're letting light, we're shining light in our students' life. But I want to change this metaphor just a little bit. From this window, yeah, right? To this window. Because I don't think as people we're not just this static single color of glass. As teachers interacting with our students, we're not just this pane, this clear pane of glass, are we? We're made up of all these tiny pieces. And we have lots of students lots of people that have touched us. They've created, if you really think about all those people that have touched us, really we're masterpieces. We don't always acknowledge it. A lot of times we focus on the negative, but really each of us is a masterpiece. Sometimes it's hard to see because we see the dark colors, right? If you look here, you see some dark, you see some light, it's a mix. Okay? So at this point, you're probably wondering why you have a crayon. Probably wondering, I know some of you like me, you're like, I want to color my bookmark right now. Well, just hold on to it a little bit. We're going to use those and you're going to see how that's going to connect to our keynote. And so, again, video game reference. Anybody know what game this is? Which one? OG, the original, right? So, we're going to go on an adventure and we're going to talk about experiences, possibilities, and this thing I call igniting. Okay? These are the 3 things on our keynote. And we're going to really focus on first, experiences. Just like, I was thinking about Eric's keynote this morning and taking, there's definitely, you're going to see some things, we have some common messages here, which is good because I'm going to reinforce those. And so we're going to start by taking a look back. Because I bet you each one of you here is probably in part a teacher, because there is another teacher that left a large mark on your heart. At some point. Maybe it was a dark mark, and that was a bad teacher, and that's why you're here. I've heard that happen. You know, I know teachers that could reach me. But you're still here, baby. I guarantee you, probably each of you has that one special teacher. So we're going to go back to Ben, not when he was a beginning teacher, but when he was a first grader. It's like counting that class size in first grade. I'm like, that's a pretty good class size, isn't it? It's like 18 students. Well, here I am, right here. Gives you about how old I am. This was in Miss Sharkey's class. We were the Broadmoor Bears. Man, I gotta remember Colsey, she loved the New Kids on the Block. You can tell by the way she's dressed. But we're gonna take a look back, and I want to share some of the memories. I had some amazing teachers, and I don't know about you, I was really lucky. And so I want to share some memories that I have of those teachers. So my first piece of glass, if you will, in my stained glass window, shout out to Miss Keeney, kindergarten teacher. And I gotta say, like, I never appreciated kindergarten teachers as much as I do now, because if you can read right, thank your kindergarten teacher. There's a lot of, thank your parents too. And I gotta say, big shout out to kindergarten teachers, because every day we're dealing with poop and pee and all that stuff. But there's not a lot I actually remember from kindergarten. I remember the fact that, you know, that's where I think that my love for reading came, besides, of course, my parents. I remember the recess, and I remember the awesome playground we had. I remember we actually had a 2-story, like, built-in playhouse in our room. But the thing that I remember most about kindergarten is Crazy Hat Day. That was my grandpa's fedora hat, and you can see, it looks pretty good. That's a pretty crazy hat, isn't it? I got a bird's nest in the top. We hot glue gunned it there, right? Those are bird's feathers, lots of nature in there. And I remember being like, I have the most awesome crazy hat. Think about it. I mean, those are the things that I remember. I don't necessarily remember what books we read or what my teacher taught me, although obviously it helped me through my system, at the school system. But I remember crazy hat from Miss Keeney. Fast forward to 4th grade. Another piece of glasses. A gentleman called Mr. Fessler. I mean, he was another awesome teacher. And so he is, you guys, the movie The Revenant, right? Like, you have Leonardo DiCaprio, he's like a mountain man. Well, Mr. Fessler was like a mountain man. Seriously, he had long hair, he had long black hair, he had a long black beard, and he had this, he actually was kind of a modern day mountain man. He had the whole outfit, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but the first thing I remember about Mr. Fessler, he had a snake, which I was super scared of. Okay, I didn't like snakes. I remember Mr. Fessler let us decorate our whole classroom. We were studying the rainforest, so we were like up on chairs, braiding crepe paper, trees out of butcher paper. We decorated our whole classroom as a tropical rainforest. We did the canopy on the ceiling, we had like the middle layer, we had the bottom layer. Totally not, you could do none of that now because of the Williams Act, right? We were on chairs. But I remember that from Mr. Fessler. I also remember, yeah, he literally, with his mountain man friends in 4th grade, he took us up to the mountains. As 4th graders, we slept in teepees. We made fire with flint and steel. Like, they gave us a chance to practice with flint and steel making fire. We shot muzzle loaders, like the old school where you pack it in there. There was no bullet, but we put the gunpowder and we put the paper, and we shot it. We threw axes, we threw knives in 4th grade. Nothing you can do now. That's what I remember from 4th grade, right? I was saying I had some really awesome teachers. Fast forward to my 8th grade teacher, Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison, I remember my sister had him 8th grade. He was just, everybody said he was like the hardest teacher. Hardest teacher. But one of the things I remember from 8th grade, I was sharing this with my daughter the other day, is I loved history. I knew a lot about history. And so he'd ask questions and I'd just shout out the answer, right? Shout it out. Like, Ben, raise your hand. Ben, raise your hand. Ben, raise your hand. Or I remember finally one day, I think he got fed up with it because during the passing period, he said, you need to stay after and you're going to raise your hand. So for 5 minutes, I sat there after between passing period just raising my hand. And then I showed up late to my next science class. And that science teacher had like a little dartboard that if you were late, you'd throw the dart at the dartboard and that was your consequence. That was Mr. Mueller. But that was Mr. Harrison. But the thing I remember the most about Mr. Harrison is this. Snickers bar, because he had these really hard tests. And if you got 100% on the test, he would buy you a candy bar. And out of like his 6 periods that he had, every single time, only like 2 or 3 people would get the candy bar. I remember I got a 24 out of 25 twice. A few 23s, but I never got the candy bar. So it's interesting thinking about what do I remember from a lot of my teachers. I don't necessarily remember what they taught me, but I really remember how they made me feel, right? The experiences they gave me. And I don't think that's just me. I think that might be you too, but I have a few people that are going to chime in on some of their favorite teachers. Some of you might know some of them, you might not. Dramatic pause. Hold on, if I stand like this. By the way, this Flipgrid is still alive, and if you would like to, you can actually add to it. So, kind of summing this up, I don't know if anybody has ever heard this quote, as we get loading again. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Anybody heard that before? You know who said that? Well, you'd think that I thought it was Maya Angelou, but it's not. I looked it up. They said there's this other guy or this other person. You can trace some of them back. But anyways, this is how I say it. Students won't always remember what you teach, but the experiences you give them, the relationships you create, and the way you believe with them will stick with them always. So it's about making that mark, right? We make those marks on our students, all of them, some way. But I think each one of us probably had that one special teacher, that one teacher that left the biggest mark. Maybe that was your kind of diamond teacher, if you will, or sapphire, the big gem. So for me, well, Ben, you said one teacher. Well, it's kind of three, but Miss Adams. Out of all these are my 6th grade teachers and the student teacher, Mr. T. Miss Adams, Miss Young, and Mr. Farrell. And Miss Adams, she was just this wonderful lady. I remember she'd tell us these stories. She grew up in Germany in this amazing, haunted house. She had one lung because of her secondhand smoke from her dad. And I just remember the way she taught math. It's actually one of the teachers that I remember some of the concepts and the way she taught them exactly. I can still do least common denominator the way she taught it in 6th grade. But these 6th grade teachers, they really created some meaningful experience. And I think about when I was in 6th grade, a few things that I really remember, because I think we can kind of learn is, one of the things we did in 6th grade is we actually wrote our own book. Not only did we write our own book, we illustrated our own book. I had to sew the binding to the book, to make the cover to the book, the inside flap with the summary, everything, and we sent it off. Right? And those teachers already were trying to give us that voice, that audience. Not only did we write a book, I also, if you can see, I had a little poem that was published in this writing style, a local. So they put our poems in there. They got our work out to bigger audiences. Of course, this is probably a little head-scratching. Why is a volleyball court up there? Did you play volleyball? No. But we did do an archaeological dig in a volleyball court. We're literally, I don't know if it's teachers and parents, they dug up the sand, they put a bunch of bones and rats in there, and they put all the ropes down, and we dug up the stuff. Right? Isn't that amazing? I remember going to the Denver History Museum, and literally it was just like a scavenger hunt. They said, hey, you stay with your partner, go get the information, and come back. And we'll see who makes the most money. It's a whole economy that you go on the scavenger hunt. That's what I remember. I also remember the 6th grade play we did. You can see we're in there, the last picture, we were in our outfits there. And that's what I remember. Again, what do I take from those teachers? Experiences, the way they made me feel, what they created for me. It wasn't a standard, it wasn't a lesson, it wasn't a worksheet. Those are the things I remember. So that's kind of one of my messages I want to say is you got to take that teacher, that one teacher, or those 3 teachers, you got to be that teacher. And it's not always easy, right? It's not always easy. So you guys ready for this? It's not the banana dance. It's time for your crayon. Okay, so I want you to think about, this is going to be a little multiple step. Think about that one teacher that made a mark. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to color one of your spots for that one teacher that made a mark. Then you're going to find somebody close to you, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes, so just be mindful. 2 minutes to share, because I don't want to stand up here and do the whole talking. I want you guys a chance to pause, process. 2 minutes to share. So you're going to think about that teacher, share who that teacher was. There's one more step. Are you ready? You're going to switch crayons. So think, share. What's the last one? Switch crayons. Okay? All right, so we'll think about that teacher who made a mark. So first think, color it in. And here's your 2 minutes to share. Okay? good adjectives as I was walking around. Fun, engaging, memorable. A lot of the same things I just talked about, right? And hopefully at this point, you switch your crayons with somebody. Technically, you should have only one spot color, but if you have two, don't worry. It's okay. So there's no assessment at the end. So, I apologize if I wasn't clear enough on the instructions. So we talked about experiences, right? So our next phase of the journey would be possibilities, right? Possibilities. Because again, those experiences, you remember those teachers you had and the marks they made on you. But I don't think it's just the teachers that have made marks on our hearts. It's also the students, right? So this is my very first class that I ever taught. 6th grade. There's one student missing from here. Her name was her name is Marina. And she was one of those students that I'm sure we've probably all had, you know, the teachers before warn you about. She's had trouble in every single class with every single teacher. I was a first-year teacher in 6th grade, right? We all know what it's like to be that first-year teacher with those difficult students. So it was difficult. I remember I had to actually go to her house and do a parent-teacher conference at her house because I couldn't get her mom to come. Luckily, her mom, out of most of the parents, spoke English. Her older brother in 8th grade was already involved in gangs. She had about, I think, four other younger. Definitely, probably a rough life. And I just remember her because, again, she was challenging. You know, like a lot of middle schoolers can be. But she really helped me grow as a teacher. And it was probably about at this point 4 years ago. Oh, by the way, sorry, just give you a little picture. This is the school I started teaching at. I think it's kind of, from what I've talked to, a little similar to some of the area around here. According to Wikipedia, it's one of the 6 most densely populated areas in the United States. You get multiple family houses. Real hard for kids, lots of gang activity in that area. But, and I also, sorry, jumping back a little bit, the first year teaching, this is what I started with. And you had to be careful with the transparencies you bought because they melt in the copy machine. So my first year of teaching, right, I went from an overhead to a what? A document camera and a projector. And so I think since then, like how quickly education has changed, right? And so thinking of Marina, I'm at a park about 4 years ago, and so you saw I have my wonderful daughter and 3 crazy boys, and so they were younger, and so we're at a park, and this guy comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Uh-oh." It's my first thought, right? Was it Russell, Tucker, or Jameson? Which one? Right? Because you know, boys will be boys, but it wasn't. It wasn't any of them. He said, "Hey, did you teach at MLK a few years ago?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, I think my daughter was in your class." I'm like, "Oh, who was your daughter?" Of course, you know, who is his daughter? Marina. She was at the same playground on the same day with her son, her 3-year-old son. And I was talking to her, and she's like, "Oh, you know, I really appreciated you back then, you know, and now I'm going to school and I'm trying to get my associates in nursing." And I was like, "Good for you, you know, that's like that teacher moment that you feel real proud because that struggling student is at least, you know, she's going to community college and she's trying to get a nurse, and that's pretty good for a lot of kids, right?" But then, like, I still get a little goosebumps now because she was like, "You know, but it's hard for me because we do everything on computers. And, you know, I don't feel comfortable with that." You know, when I was a 6th grade teacher, we had one computer lab. We got it once a week. So I did my best. But it was still a little bit of that letdown that I hadn't given her enough, even though she was successful. And so that really stuck with me, you know, that whole thing with, you know, I wasn't preparing my student for the future, right? For some of the possibilities out there. Because again, there's lots of possibilities with technology, right? But again, it's not about the technology. It's about the what? The experiences and the possibilities, right? Nobody would ever thought you'd have a shark cat on a Roomba before. So let's thinking about technology. I want to think about a little bit how it's changed, specifically focusing on information, right? Information. Let's go even way back before Ben was in first grade to this time. That's like some of the first ways of transferring information, right? Besides oral transfer, right? We have this record of leave information for us in caves. So we got some information for them. Let's fast forward a little bit to this. Anybody know what this is? Library of Alexandria. And we got this great library, and we're going to put all the information we have in there, and that's so awesome, but only a select few people had access to the information. And anybody know what happened to the library? It burned to the ground. And all the information then went where? It was gone. Right? Fast forward, how many of you remember these? Okay, I think of this as a modern day hashtag, right? Because you'd have to go through it, you'd have to find your whatever you were looking for in the card catalog. You'd have to be really good. Okay, am I going to look under mammals? Am I going to look under bears? Am I going to look under something else? That's how we had a lot more access to information, right? But still, libraries had closing times. Now fast forward to this. What is learning? This is even a few years ago. 90,000 results. With technology, it gives us possibilities. It gives us 24/7 access to information and knowledge. It allows us to customize our own, right? We can customize it. Whatever we want to learn, anything you want to learn pretty much nowadays, you can learn, right? How to draw a shark. You want to draw a shark? There's a YouTube video for that. You need a button? You need to sew a button? There's a YouTube video for that. Thought I'd give you a minute. You want to learn how to take over the world? There is a YouTube video for that. I cannot promise it will give you the desired outcome, but there's a YouTube video for that. What does technology give us? Possibilities, right? It gives us possibilities. And I want to give you just a few examples. There's tons of them, right? But a few of my favorite examples of possibilities. Has anybody heard of this blog, Never Seconds? So this was for a few years ago, a girl in Scotland. And she started a blog because she did not like the food at lunch. So she took her camera, every school today, 9-year-old girl, took a picture, would rate it. She'd put things like, number of hairs found in my food. Right? And so she was saying, like, our food isn't very healthy. And so she started this whole blog. And there was this whole kind of battle in the beginning between her and the kind of the county that they had in Scotland. They were saying, oh, you can't take your camera to school. You know, we provide for lunch, you should have had this, and this, vegetables and fruit. She's like, well, I never had those. What are those? So this blog got her millions and millions of hits. She was on the Jamie Oliver show. Right? And she got it so that everybody in her county could now get seconds on fruit, on bread, as a 9-year-old. Now, sure, probably she could have gone to city council and maybe petitioned to them, but I think that if she hadn't gotten those 10 million hits on that blog, I'm not sure if that change would have really happened, right? Because it's about the possibilities that we can do with technology. Another example, some of you maybe have some of these or have seen some of these, but this was a few years ago, in 2016, when these kind of were still a little new. We know when I say these, the Invisalign braces, right? There's this gentleman, Amos Dudley. He was a 24-year-old in college, and he 3D printed his own braces, $60. At the time, $8,000. That's how much they were. He 3D printed them for $60. He had to do all the research on how teeth moved, how they were going to shift, what are non-toxic materials. After that, he's like, I'm not really interested in being a dentist, but he saved a lot of money. And he couldn't have done that without technology, which gives us possibilities. This guy, Thomas Suarez, he is a 12-year-old who did a TED Talk. Not only did he do a TED Talk, he made a few famous apps, Whack-A-Mole. Then there was, Bustin', it's like Justin Bieber, but you flip the J and the B. Anyways, he made apps in the App Store and gave a TED Talk teaching other kids how to make their own apps. 12 years old when he's doing this. But he couldn't have done it without technology that we have nowadays. It wouldn't have been possible. Anybody know who this is? Evan HD. He started a YouTube channel when he was 8, reviewing Legos. He's a multi-millionaire from his YouTube channel, reviewing Legos. He's very eloquent. Now, we don't all need to be millionaires. There's lots of other places for us. But this kid would have never been able, now he's set for college, right? He's pretty much set for life at 8 years old. And it's all because of the possibilities that technology gets us. Right? Abilities. Well, you know what? Ben, that's really nice, but it's not all sunshine, rainbows, puppies, and unicorns. It's not. It's not. Right? Technology can be dangerous. I looked it up the other day. There's like 14 different types of fishing now, right? There's just like normal fishing, there's spear fishing, there's pH fishing, not the F fishing, right? Whale fishing, there's all these different types of fishing. There's so many dangers out there. But when you step out into the street, there's a lot of dangers out there too. Of course, with great power comes great responsibility. I think anytime we give kids this, we need to think of this as a superpower, right? This is a superpower, the stuff you can do with this device. So how are you going to use it? Which one are you going to be? Are you going to be Batman, or are you going to be Joker? How are you going to use your superpower? For good or for evil? That's kind of what we need to think about it. What are you doing with this? Especially with our youth. It's one of my favorite quotes. Our kids are growing up on a digital playground and nobody is on recess duty. Kevin Honeycutt, I love this quote. This was actually I took this picture, it was a playground out of one of my schools. And just think about it, like, I totally was that kid. I had AOL as a young kid, AOL 1.0, and I definitely was in some chat rooms that I shouldn't have been in. But I didn't know. Nobody taught me. But we know better now, don't we? How many of your friends that you know post things on Facebook that they shouldn't post? But we're in this weird generation that we didn't necessarily grow up with it, right? So who taught us? But now we have responsibility. How are we teaching our students, our kids? Kind of similar to the point Eric was making this morning. We're currently preparing students for jobs that don't even exist, right? Are your students ready? I think about her. You know, she was ready. I did my best. We do our best. But this is how I feel sometimes. I feel like sometimes when we're teaching, it's like painting blindfolded, right? You may know how your students are doing this year, but how are they going to turn out? Do you ever really know? You can do your best. It's almost a little bit like for those of us that are parents, right? We do our best and we hope for the best. That's all we can do. That's all you can do. And that's why you're here. Kudos to you, Saturday teachers. Right? That's right. Because you're leaving those marks. So now we did a reflection on who was the teacher that made an impact on you. I want you to put in your heart a student. Because even if you're just starting teaching, I bet you've had some interactions with students that have left those marks on your heart. We're going to lather, rinse, repeat. What does that mean? You're going to think about that student. If you've already colored another color, that's okay. But add a different partner. Think about the student. New color. Switch crayons. Got it? All right. And I would challenge you to find a different partner so you can have a different crayon. I think my favorite part is seeing the smiles on everybody's faces. Because I think when you think about those students, right, what does it do? It lights a lot of us up, hopefully. So here's a question. We talked about experiences, right, that our teachers create. We talked about the possibilities that are given. So what happens if we remember the third? We got experiences, possibilities. Ready to blast off? Well, you're going to join the team. You're a kinder rocket. You don't have to be a kindergarten teacher or a kinder student to be a kinder rocket. You just have to do this. Be safe, be kind, be your best. All right, so let's take off here. As I said, just like our kinder rockets, we're going to take off and shoot for the moon, because that's what we want our students, right? We want to shoot them off and give them possibilities. Of course, you know it's not that simple, is it? I was talking about this with some of you guys. I mean, educational technology is changing. How many updates have you had on your phone in the last year? How many times you open up your phone and you're like, where'd the button go? Or you open up an app in the middle of your class and all of a sudden they've changed it, right? Yeah. So where can I learn about technology? Because sometimes you feel like this, right? I feel like that. There is so much information and cool stuff out there. It's almost too much, isn't it? Too much sometimes. Too many badges, too many notifications. Can be feeling like that. I mean, like, that's how I feel sometimes when I look at my phone and I see my email. But you got to remember, you're not alone. You have your neighbors next door. Here's some of my neighbors. Bet you each one of you have some at your school. So some of you maybe, I don't know if you're familiar with John Hattie's work. I feel like a lot of us at this point are. But basically, like, what are the things that we do as teachers that have the most impact? Well, he says number one is this thing. Teacher collective teacher efficacy. So that means basically working together. When we work together. So let's work with our neighbors. But beyond that, let's think about this. The smartest person in the room is the room. Maybe you've heard this quote. I love this quote. So you know what? What if we just blew up our room? Like we just made it huge. Well, we can do that. What if this was our room? What can be? Make some new neighbors. Right? We hear so many negative things about social media. But you know what? A lot of these people I met around here, some of you guys, I met through social media. Sharing ideas. Because no longer do we just have to share with the person next door to us, but the person at the same school. We can share with the whole world. Where's Gail? Gail earlier made Twitter count. Gail? Yeah, I was so happy. I saw her make her Twitter account today. I thought that was so awesome. So there's a lot of them, but just a few statistics I think are pretty amazing. This one is impactful. This is from 2015 too. Out of 500,000 tweets that post every day, 4.2 million are related to education. Every day. My dad, he would pick up the Wall Street Journal in the morning to learn about finances. You know what I pick up to learn about education? Twitter. That's where I get a lot of my ideas and collaborate. It doesn't have to be Twitter. I have a colleague, she uses Instagram. She gets great ideas. This is pretty amazing too. 2010, how many Twitter chats were there? 34. 2015, how many Twitter chats for education? Yeah, now there's more than that. This is 4 years ago, right? When they did this study. 349 places that you could connect with educators on a daily basis. You're not alone. So pick your poison. Doesn't matter what it is, but you're not in a silo. Don't be in a silo, right? We're trying to be global. We're teaching our learners to be global. You have to get out on that digital playground. Don't do it all. Do it all. You can put your toe in, right? You can just go a little bit in the waves, or you can just, jump in. You got to go at your comfort level. But remember, you also have support beyond just your school, right? You can also stay local. I believe Q Los Angeles, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys have a Q chat as well, right? When is it?
They'll
let you know. But anyway, you get not only to connect with people at your school, you can connect with people in your area, right? Don't go at it alone. Find your tribe, right? Find your people. These people around you right now that you've been talking to, some of those people are your people. So we're wrapping up. We're getting close to the end here, but we have 2 more spots to fill, don't we? So one of those spots is I want you to think about somebody at this conference or another teacher in your social media network, and your PLA made an impact on you. And now you should have a 3rd color of crayon, right? So, same thing. Think about somebody who's made an impact on you. You're at the conference or in your larger social network. Color your crayon and switch. And here's our, I believe our last 2-minute timer. We're going to close it out. It was you, right? Did I get your name right? Gladys. I knew it was the G. I saw the G. I pictured the G. I remember the face. I almost got the name. So, any predictions on the last piece? Who's the last piece for? I may be predictable, but the last piece you got it is for you. That's right. The last piece is for you. You are a masterpiece, and we don't always feel this way, right? Because sometimes we see more of the darker colors, sometimes more of the light. But sometimes when we step a little bit, really look at that picture of ourselves, this is, I think, what each one of us, looks like. So, you can color in that final piece, because you are that last masterpiece. So, you're gonna take that learning, and you're gonna bring it back here to your classroom. That, by the way, is my classroom. I don't actually have quite that many students. I had kids in my class that day. Yeah. So you're bringing this learning back. You're bringing the fact that you're going to create these experiences, right? Creating experiences for your students. Of course, not only creating experiences, but giving your students what? Possibilities, right? And sending them off, igniting them. Because each of those pieces of glass, they're all your students in the classroom, right? Each of them. If we look at them that way, maybe they're just pieces of glass. But we look at it that way, changes our perspective. So let's let a little bit of light in to our students' lives with some possibilities, some experiences, and let's ignite their passions. Because how will you make your mark? Thank you. By the way, I left a few stickers out up here if you would like any.